Nigeria is not yet the rich nation that I know that it will be. It isn't yet. So there's a gap between our anticipated spending and what we really earn. In terms of procurement, yes, I agree, and we have discussed this severally. There are many issues with the procurement system. It seeks, I think, to achieve value for money. Whether it has done that efficiently is debatable, but it also excludes some of the most vulnerable people in our society, small and medium and very basic people who want to pay children's school fees, who want to pay medical bills, people who want to pay their house rent. They want to benefit from the procurement. People you represent, that we represent, and they can't benefit because the conditions for benefiting are too onerous. So they have to bring all sorts of documents which they never have. So the cost of getting those documents becomes something that makes them unable to benefit. So we started a national maintenance infrastructure maintenance program. This is a process by which we seek to engage a lot of artisans, plumbers, welders, carpenters, bricklayers, R&A, refrigeration, heating, ventilation, and cooling practitioners. But I am afraid that as the procurement law presently stands, it is only the big people who will make more money, or who will get the contracts and then engage these people. So, and I have made the recommendations to many of the distinguished senators, and I hope that we will see a rescoping of that law. The expectation that have been expressed here also for projects to be completed on time are not compatible. Our expectation of speed is not compatible with what we have enacted in our law, where we have to first do a procurement plan. When you finish that, it gets approved. Then you advertise it for 6 weeks. Then there are thousands of bids. Then we get human rights, civil society to come and witness everything. Then after that, then there are petitions and so on and so on. It is not compatible with the speed at which we want to move. So our law is holding us back. And the law is made for us. We are not made for the law. And I hope that distinguished senators will rise up to this challenge and look at this as a matter of expedition. Let me...
Time up, Mr. President.
Speak to regulation, because it is raised by distinguished Senator Omar. It's a very important point, and you will have heard me at some public fora speaking about the need to recruit some of the very best of our human capital into our public service. And I am developing a paper that I hope to share. But the answer simply is we need more professionalism within the regulatory bodies. Professionals must be able to hold themselves to the highest possible standards across board. And I think that if Nigeria's professional elite take up this responsibility, Nigeria will be a much better place. Distinguished Senator Okorocha, I think I have addressed the issues of funding while you stepped out, but the point to make again is to repeat what I said, that the budgets do not get full cash funding. Our budgets are deficit budgets, as you probably also will have experienced whilst in IMO. And therefore, we need to find more money. My recommendation was to suggest we raise an infrastructure bond where all Nigerians can contribute their small token. And let's see how far that takes us. We also are utilizing PPPs, but again, something like the tax credit initiative, people have not understood it sufficiently, and maybe I should say a word about it here. It is an advance credit of the company's income tax to government, an advance credit of his income tax. And therefore, for a company to benefit, so if you want to do a 10 billion naira road with your income tax paid in advance, it means first that you must make profit of an amount that equivalents or have a record of up to 10 billion. How many of our companies even turn over 10 billion before we begin to tax them? So that is a problem with that. But it has shown some appetite by some of the big players, and the room for more scope clearly exists. The question about what is holding Mambila, that's a very important question. Mambila has been in the front burner. I think that this administration can take credit for having been the one that finally issues a binding contract. There was never a binding contract on Mambila. All of the contracts, one thing was wrong. It didn't pass through FEC. It was somebody, there were court cases. This was the first time an EPC, Engineering, Procurement and Construction contract, was issued. Now, having issued that contract, as I said, there is funding issue by the Chinese government, but there are also issues about now demarcating the precise area to coordinate, and we have employed surveyors to do that. FEC approved that memo, working with the Taraba state government to start that. We were awaiting their report when I left. That would then lead us to, after defining the territory, for example, if we wanted to build in this Senate, it may well be that the footprint of the project may not get to your seat. And so we have to enumerate all of the senators whose seats will be affected and who will be paid compensation and draw a boundary. And from there, of course, some advanced work is going on backstage that people will not see. But some progress has been made. There was a question about Taraba Central. I think from here, I'm not sure which part is Taraba Central now. Is it I will come to it, sir. Is it close to Wukari, Takum area? Bali. Okay, I'm not quite sure, because I was going to bring your attention to the Kashimbila project, which we had neared completion of the transmission line now. And I think once that is commissioned, it is possible to extend its width to some parts of Taraba Central. The EB bridge, I think, and I have to be careful here, I know that it has cleared procurement. I am not sure, and I don't want to say, I can't recollect very clearly now, but I think that we awarded it in the Federal Executive Council. Well, the policy about displacing people and housing, I think is a very important and compassionate point. But I will support a policy along those lines. But let us remember that the federal government is not the one in control of land, and you can't build houses without land. It is the state governors and the state governments who control land. The models we have started with have actually proceeded on the basis of asking states to give us land as pilot projects. I think there was a question about, I think from Senator Gian, something about Akwanga, Jos Bauchi. I think that road has also, phase 1 of it has been awarded. Phase 2 is under procurement, and the financing approval will still have to come back to Parliament because it is funded by a Chinese loan. And I hope that when it does come, distinguished Senator Gian will give support to whoever the minister assigned to that ministry is to get the funding for it. But let me again say that between policy, implementation, and results, there is quite some distance that needs to be covered. And all of us, as leaders of government, must continue to carry this message to our people. But I think that Nigeria is making some progress. There's infrastructure deficit across the world, and none of the European countries now, the UK, the US, all of them are fighting about making big budgets to rebuild or renew their infrastructure. So we are not alone, but we have our work cut out for us, and I believe that it can be done. I think I will leave it there, sir. I think I've tried to summarize it. Thank you very much, sir.
Distinguished colleagues,